It was Christmas evening, and the entire family was gathered around the crackling fireplace, laughter and excitement filling the air. Uncle George rose from his seat, clinking a glass to capture everyone's attention. "A little announcement," he said with a grin, taking Jasmine's hand. "Jasmine and I are getting married." The thought of a wedding celebration lit up the room, and one by one, each family member hugged and kissed George and Jasmine, basking in the warmth of love. They started reflecting on their own wedding stories. Jenny, with a mischievous smile, broke the ice. "Well, George, you're lucky. Arthur and I had to elope to get married." She laughed, earning a round of chuckles. "It was all so hushed and rushed. Forget themes. We barely had time to plan anything." Jane leaned in, laughing as she reminisced. "Oh, Jenny, your eloping really stirred things up. Nothing could have otherwise stopped grandmother's rivalry that sprang up during the wedding." She gave Jenny a teasing look. Both grandmothers were so determined to have the last word. "I never thought I'd see grandparents arguing over every single detail, from flowers to food. Rivalry among grandmothers. Who would have thought?" Albert joined in, chuckling at the memory. "Well, Jane, ours was actually smooth sailing. All I had to do to win your father over was build a profitable, award-winning business first." He grinned, looking at her affectionately. "But once he came around, there was no looking back. Funny thing, though, we were so focused on building a life together that we skipped the whole big reception idea." He paused, smiling at the memories. Those were the days, all right. Listening to everyone, Arthur put down his glass and declared, "This needs to change with George's wedding. I say we make it the wedding of the year. Big, bold, and memorable." Turning to Jasmine with a warm smile, he continued, "So, Jasmine, what's your dream wedding theme? Whatever you want, we'll make it happen." Jasmine looked at George, her eyes softening as she thought back to how they first fell in love. "Well," she began, "George and I actually fell for each other while dancing. Flamenco, specifically. It's what brought us closer together." At that, George beamed, squeezing her hand. "Flamenco it is!" he announced, excitement brimming in his voice. The room erupted in cheers as everyone started envisioning the vibrant, passionate theme that would fill the dance floor. Just then, 12-year-old Sicil burst into the room, along with Sebastian, their cheeks flushed from the cold and still brushing off the last remnants of snow from their coats. Sicil's eyes sparkled with excitement as she noticed the lively discussion. "What's all this talk about flamenco?" she asked, tilting her head curiously. George's face lit up as he glanced over at his nephew and Sicil. "Ah, you two. We were just talking about Jasmine's and my wedding plans," he began, clearly delighted. "We're having a flamenco-themed wedding. Since dance brought us together, we thought it would be the perfect way to celebrate." Sicil's eyes widened in delight. "A flamenco wedding? That sounds amazing!" She turned to Sebastian, a gleam of inspiration lighting her face. "Seb, we have to dance at the wedding!" Sebastian grinned, nodding along easily. "Sure, sounds fun," he said, thinking she meant they'd simply be joining everyone else on the dance floor. But then Sicil's face grew more determined. "And you'll be my dance partner," she declared, beaming as she reached for his hand. Sebastian froze, his eyes widening as he processed what she meant. "Wait, what? Me, as your partner?" He let out a nervous chuckle, shaking his head quickly. "No way, Sicil. I'm not dancing in front of everyone." Sicil's face fell, but only for a moment. Determined as ever, she took a step closer. "Oh, come on, Seb. We'd be amazing together. And I already told Uncle George I wanted to dance in front of everyone, so now I need you. Don't be shy." Sebastian continued to shake his head, his cheeks turning a faint shade of pink. "You know I'm not really a performer," he mumbled, looking around as if hoping for an escape route. Sicil crossed her arms, pouting slightly, and then glanced around the room. She winked at George, who chuckled and gave Sebastian an encouraging nod. One by one, everyone took their turn chiming in, giving Sebastian little pep talks. Jenny reminded him of the importance of trying something new. Jane mentioned how impressive it would look on the dance floor, and Albert teased him, saying there was nothing to be afraid of if he had a good teacher. Uncle George nudged him with a chuckle. You know, Seb, dancing builds confidence and coordination. It'll make you stronger in sports, too. Jasmine gently joined in, saying, Flamenco isn't just about dancing. It's about connecting with music with your partner, and it's truly a beautiful experience to share. But Sebastian remained firm, shaking his head and smiling politely. I'm happy to watch from the sidelines. You won't catch me doing flamenco. Finally, Sicil took a deep breath, pulling out her last card. Her eyes softened, and she looked at Sebastian with a slightly trembling lip, giving him a long, sad gaze that seemed to melt away his defenses. Please, Seb, she whispered, barely managing to keep her voice from breaking. It would mean the world to me. He sighed, defeated, seeing the hopeful glimmer in her eyes. Fine, Sicil, I'll do it, he muttered, rolling his eyes with a small, reluctant smile. At this, Sicil's face lit up, and she practically leapt into his arms. Yes, I knew you'd say yes, she cried, triumphant. Just then, Jasmine stepped forward with a warm smile. Well then, it looks like I'll have 2 young apprentices for dance lessons. Don't worry, Sebastian, she said with a grin. I'll make sure you're ready for the spotlight. And as Sebastian shot Sicil a look of resigned amusement, everyone shared a hearty laugh, enjoying Sicil's antiques. During their first flamenco rehearsal with Jasmine, Sebastian found himself struggling to keep up with the steps. Sicil, brimming with excitement and energy, was quick on her feet, but not necessarily accurate. Time and again, her shoes landed squarely on Sebastian's toes, causing him to wince. Ouch! Sicil! He groaned after another misstep, trying to shake off the sting in his foot. You're supposed to be stepping near me, not on me, he teased, flashing her a playful, exaggerated grimace. Sicil only grinned sheepishly, sticking her tongue out in mock apology. Sorry, Seb, guess I'm just passionate, she said with a cheeky wink. He exclaimed after yet another misplaced step, giving her an amused, half-reproachful smile. This isn't a football field, it's a dance floor. Try to mind my toes. Sicil gave him a weak smile, muttering an apology, but the flush only deepened. The truth was, each time their eyes met or he held her a little closer, her heart skipped, and it was her own feelings that left her unsteady. She was falling for him, had maybe always been in love with him, and the realization sent her spinning. On the other hand, even with his sore feet, Sebastian found himself caught off guard by an unexpected warmth blossoming inside him. Each time he held her close, feeling her hand in his and her laughter mingling with his own, a sense of contentment washed over him. Despite the occasional stumbles and giggles, he realized he didn't mind. The softness in Sicil's gaze, the playful spark in her laugh, it all made him forget his clumsy toes and sore feet. All right, one more time, Jasmine called, clapping to the beat. Sebastian glanced down at Sicil, and she looked up at him, her eyes dancing with excitement. With a shy grin, he pulled her a bit closer, steadying her hands in his. Try not to trample me this time, he said, smirking. No promises, she shot back with a grin, her eyes twinkling. As the music started again, he felt that familiar warmth growing. Holding Sicil close, despite the missteps, Sebastian realized he might choose to dance all his life just to hold Sicil tight in his arms. Each session brought them closer, their movements synchronized with grace and precision. Focus, Sicil, sway with me, follow my lead, Sebastian would say encouragingly, his voice soft yet amused, as they practiced late into the evening every day. Sicil would laugh. I'm trying, but you keep stepping on my toes. She felt like she was living in a dream. Each twirl and spin sparked a fire within her, drawing her closer to the music, her heart synchronized with Sebastian's, making her feel more beautiful for him. Amidst the twirls and steps of their dance routine, Sebastian could not help but tease Sicil about her tendency to leave a trail of chaos in her wake. Do you ever tidy up your desk, Sicil? I swear it is like a tornado hit every time I see it. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. Come on, Seb. My desk may look chaotic, but it is a system only I can understand. Unlike your desk, which is so pristine I'm afraid to even breathe near it, let alone use it. It is like a museum exhibit in there. As they moved together, the world around them faded into a blur, leaving only the music and the rhythm of their bodies intertwined. The way they held each other closely, intimately, felt electric, igniting a warmth that surged through them both. Yet, with this realization came a wave of fear. Sicil was only 12, 4 years younger than Sebastian, who was preparing to leave for college in a few years. Thoughts of his future loomed large in her mind, filled with visions of him finding someone special, someone who could fill the space she had long coveted. What was she, a girl from next door, compared to the possibilities that awaited him? Sebastian felt a similar weight of uncertainty. Did Sicil love him the way he had always loved her? Or was he just her best friend? They were best friends who had shared their entire life with each other, countless memories. Yet now they were tiptoeing around an emotional minefield, each fearing what lay on the other side of their laughter. As the wedding day drew closer, Sicil and Sebastian found themselves spending every possible moment in the dance studio. The rhythm and movement offered a shared escape, a world where the unspoken became tangible with each step. In the studio's quiet, they let the music sweep them away, bringing them closer with every twirl, every gaze, and every heartbeat. Finally, the night of George and Jasmine's reception arrived, the air filled with excitement and the warm glow of celebration. Jasmine took to the stage, microphone in hand, a proud smile illuminating her face. "And now, I am thrilled to introduce the 2 young stars of the evening," she announced, her voice warm with pride and affection. "Training them has been my privilege and joy. Let's give a round of applause for the best young couple I could have asked to work with, Sicil and Sebastian." The guests erupted in applause as Sicil and Sebastian stepped onto the dance floor. Sicil met Sebastian's gaze, feeling the calm assurance his eyes offered her. The first beats of Gypsy King's bamboleo filled the room, bold and fiery, and with the first step, they launched into the dance. Sicil's dress was striking, a deep black with bold red frills that cascaded from her skirt, catching the light with every spin, adding a flair to each step that embodied the spirit of flamenco. Her dark hair was pulled back, allowing her to move with freedom and confidence, her intense expression highlighted by the elegant lines of her outfit. Sebastian complemented her perfectly, dressed in a fitted black suit that accentuated his graceful yet strong movements. His form held an air of mystery and allure, each step purposeful, each movement calculated, drawing the crowd into the intense chemistry between them. The suit, simple yet powerful, reflected his steady presence beside her, and with every spin and lift, he kept his gaze firmly on Sicil, radiating a protectiveness and admiration that did not go unnoticed by the crowd. Their bodies moved in perfect harmony, Sebastian guiding Sicil across the floor with practiced strength and grace. Each spin, each step, was charged with an energy that left the guests captivated. Their eyes locked, and at that moment, it was as if they were the only 2 in the room. The thrill in their movements was undeniable, creating a magnetic pull that kept the audience entranced, unable to look away. As the music swelled toward the final beats, Sicil and Sebastian glided into their concluding pose. Sebastian wrapped his arm around Sicil's waist with confident strength as she bent backwards, her face tilted towards the ceiling, her hair cascading down her back, and her arms extended with a flourish. In one final dramatic gesture, Sicil lifted her hand to his neck, brushing her fingertips along his collar before tilting her head ever so slightly. Sebastian leaned forward, his lips grazing the curve of her neck in a moment that sent a ripple through the room, leaving every spectator breathless, utterly captivated. The room was silent for a moment, the electricity in the air undeniable. With their final intimate pose and their undeniable chemistry, Sicil and Sebastian had left everyone in awe, creating a moment that would be the highlight of George and Jasmine's wedding celebration. And then a wave of applause burst forth, filling the hall with cheers and whistles. Sicil and Sebastian grinned at each other, their eyes still locked, a shared thrill buzzing between them. George and Jasmine exchanged a look of awe and pride. Their wedding reception elevated to a night none of the guests would forget. It was the perfect celebration of love and connection, a night that held its own magic, where a shared dance could make the world stand still.